Here. Thank you so much for making the time. I know it was a bit of a confusion with the schedule and daylight savings and all the good stuff, and the link not working, but nonetheless, the fact that you're here means a lot. Today we've got one of the key members of the Teia community, who is, I believe, a fork of Hikitnam, and we just want to hear about their side and all the implements that they're going to be doing in the future, and the future of Teia as well, and the amazing and thriving community that they have here. Bad Lemon, thank you so much for making the time.
No worries. Thank you for having me.
Can you give us a rundown sort of your what your role is now and how you your history with Hickendunk and Tezos?
Yeah, for sure. I guess so. I've been, releasing NFTs and collecting NFTs for a couple of years now. I started on Ethereum-based platforms, super rare, known origin and stuff. But then I guess found out about the environmental impacts of proof of work late in 2000 and I guess 20 it was now, such a long time ago. And yeah,
Wow, that's crazy.
it
Okay.
feels like 5 years ago, but um, I guess there was a big community that formed around that, I guess through Twitter and on Discord. And many of us artists were like, oh, we wanted to learn more, research more, find out if there was other alternatives. And I guess, and it was about February of 2021 that we started the Clean NFTs Discord. And we started investigating what other platforms were out there. And Tezos was just obviously making some waves. And Calamint and Hikiknunk were starting to launch their platforms. And I got chatting with Raf because he was pretty active in the Clean NFT Discord early on. And yeah, I guess that's sort of where it all started with my Hikiknunk experiences. And I wasn't first cab off the rank. I guess I waited a few weeks before releasing anything and collecting anything. So it was more, I think, mid-March to late March. Just checking the dates this morning. But yeah, I guess big part of that community, very passionate about, I guess, the community-based ideals and ethos behind Hikiknunk, particularly around supporting marginalized groups. A Brazil-based platform supporting artists from, global South was amazing. So that's how, I guess, my journey. And then we all know that Hikiknunk shut down in November of last year.
Correct.
And out of that, a whole community, I guess, sort of came together, created another Discord just to talk about, what that meant for the Tezos NFT community, I suppose. And that's where, and Caroline has joined us. So if someone can invite her up to speak.
Nice, bring her on up. Yeah. So do you remember the day that Hikendunk launched? Do you still remember that initial launch, even though you were not collecting?
Yeah, I do. Because it was very active in the Clean NFTs Discord at that time. There was a lot of excitement. I know, people like Joni Lemercer and Mumu. We were all very keen to find a new space because we'd all released stuff on Ethereum, but we were looking for something that suited, I guess, our ethos a bit better. So yeah, it was a very exciting time.
Wow, it's not every day that you get to talk to somebody who remembers the first day that Hikendunk launched and was really there for the genesis of this entire movement, right? So what is your role with Teia now? What do you you're a community manager, or what is your day-to-day sort of involvement with the site?
Well, we like to say that we have no hierarchical structure. Obviously, we're aiming for full decentralization as much as possible, and in that means that no one's in charge in Teia. There's active community members. That's, I guess, what we call ourselves. We're community members, and we're trying to, for the last month or so, we've been trying to organize ourselves into the group types of, operations of the platform that we're most interested in. So for me, that's, I have a background in working with nonprofits and I guess operations sort of thing. So I've been helping with budget and finance, but my passion is as an artist is obviously working with other artists to help support them. So events and residencies and philanthropy is, I guess, the other thing that I'm interested in helping with. And Caroline can probably jump here.
Yeah, I was going to ask Caroline the same thing. Michelle, we sort of talked about like the initial introduction to Tezos and how you got sort of your origin story and how you came to the space, because you were such an you were both such pioneers, that it would be great to hear how you originally found yourself here.
Hi. For some reason, I'm sorry I'm late. I thought it was starting in like a half an hour, but
No, I
hello.
know we all screwed it up, so no worries.
Okay. Well, hello world. It's actually pronounced Carolyn. That's not uncommon, but anyway.
My bad.
Last year I sort of wandered into the, NFT world and was like thinking very deeply about the kind of place where I wanted to start and, be embedded. And so I found Hicketnunk and I onboarded kind of in late spring and minted in June. My Genesis over there is pretty sparse because kind of felt like there's a huge like learning curve along the way. And I was just as I was like wanting to dedicate a month of minting, just like a crazy, that's when the site got shut down and everything sort of went up into the air. But I knew that was like not going to be difficult for the community and the marketplace and everything to bounce back, because ultimately the decentralized nature of the infrastructure and the community just being so robust, I was like, this is what this was built for. So yeah.
Okay.
Then basically going from there, that's I was like, if we can get a beautiful, an idea, something that can really carry that spirit forward, I think that there's a good chance that this can survive, no matter what happens. And Teia was eventually born, and like I don't think it could be any better. So I basically kind of just wandered into the Discord after the branding and everything kind of got streamlined, and I was like just asking questions about some of the communications channels and what's happening with that, and that's sort of how you get started volunteering.
You just get sucked right in, right?
It's like a vacuum. Yeah, exactly. So that's why I'm here.
Did it at all like change your perception when the site was discontinued, like minting on Tezos, or was it just more of a like I kind of just want to mint for the sake of minting on like these beautiful green platforms? Doesn't matter whether it's like Hicketnunk or Hicketnunk.hic or any of the other mirror sites.
Well, definitely I was interested in Tezos primarily, and the early, like late, early 20 or whatever, second quarter 2021. And I guess I think there was Calumet out there, but I guess I really love the brutalist, minimalist style, and also the random feature up top. So like those things, and also just seeing like the energy inside of the Discord and the broader Tezos community that ultimately, has just gone massive since then. So it's the whole thing. It's all of those things, and yeah, it's all of the things.
I was going to ask you, what do you think it was that made him so successful? Because once it started to get going, it was like a rocket ship to the moon, right?
Well, I definitely think that having a broad global audience has been a big part of that, because it's a lot more varied and diverse than sort of the walled garden of Ethereum that it's become. So there's just more interesting art. I mean, sort of just like up top. Well, I mean, at least not up top, but meaning it's sort of just more random. It's more random, but it's also a wider pool to pull that randomness from. and also the low cost and the fact that there's that green ethos. I think that solar punk energy is something that I really resonate with. So that all of those things I think are make the Tezos scene different than the Ethereum scene, which is really kind of at the time when I was really onboarding was kind of the main two. Like Polygon and everything hadn't really branched out as much, and it's wasn't as widely adopted in some of the other options that there are today. But I still think that it's preserved that that sort of more like a global audience rather than the sometimes Ethereum, at least, or maybe, I mean, I am in the US, but it still feels very sort of narrow, where that's just, I feel like a lot more, I'm seeing a lot more artists from all over the world, like on the Tezos ecosystem, and for all various things, you know, like from research projects and missions to just artists, you know, just artists around the world. So there's so many different things happening, and again, I think that the whole, actually, ironically, the takedown of Hickenunk really just provides like the most. It's like it's going to go down in the record as a case study of, you know, decentralization and community resilience, and I really believe that.
100%. Absolutely. I wholeheartedly believe that as well. I think like the reason why I really love the Teia community is, I mean, I saw when you guys were kind of talking about like the contract and how it's going to change along the way, which we'll get to later on, is there was another space, and I think it was like a Spanish space dedicated to the exact same topic. So you guys like talk the talk and you walk the walk, and I really love that. And I think that's one of the things that other platforms is really lacking, like that diversity aspect, which is really kind of fantastic.
Yeah, I think we had a couple others in like China and South and like Oceania too. So
yeah, we had a Malaysian Indonesian group chat, and yeah, it's something, you know, I'm really passionate about for our community too, because, you know, that's something that we keep pushing forward. I think every week there's discussions in the Discord about, yeah, we have to make sure we're inclusive, we have to make sure we're global, because that sets us apart from the other Tezos marketplaces.
I mean, absolutely.
I was gonna ask you like where you think Teia fits into the Tezos ecosystem, and what you just mentioned the global reach. What else is it about Teia that sort of that makes it distinguished and distinctive from the other sites on Tezos?
Well, I could just be really obvious and say it's not run by a small group of white men, but you know, that's just something that I
You
guess,
may as well just say it, right?
yeah, I just did. but I think, you know, that's what we're trying to achieve is, you know, empowering artists to take part in the platform and make it their own, to really push decentralization, you know, as a concept, not just a financial operational one. I think as a organic community as well.
Now,
Go ahead,
now
Wise.
talking about the contract, is it still on the same as the old Ticket Non contract, or is it completely different, or will it change in the future?
Right now, it's still on the Hickenunk one, and we're hoping to change as soon as possible. Contracts are ready to go, starting with a 0 fee, because I guess at the moment our main priority as a community is to work out legal operational stuff. So, you know, becoming a DAO and what that means, how we set up the structure. And it's really difficult because no one, we don't want to have, you know, someone in charge, or we want to make sure that there's that decentralization. So we're taking, I guess, a slower approach to that, because we just want to be sure we choose the right way to go.
How do you
Like,
manage that? Like, how does that work in terms of like who hires the attorneys, or if you have to do that, or who, like how is it if it's not hierarchical, which it's not? How do you determine who's in charge of what?
It's community consensus, I guess, is the best way to describe it.
Okay.
We have, you know, different groups. It's an amazing structure that we've created. on the Discord and through our like online sites, I suppose. And I get the main point is that, you know, if you're really interested in being involved in the community, you share where your interests might lie. For example, you know, we have legal operations, DAO, security, PR, communications, design. And so you can jump in any of those communities. And then I guess as groups, we're currently making decisions. We have the vote tool, which currently, when we do a vote like we did for the naming, any users that were, I guess, were on Hikiknunk at the time of it closing in November have a right to vote in our community.
Nice. And so, how many people do you typically have for a vote? I'm just curious what that looks like.
From memory, I'm not sure. For the naming one, it was over 300 in the first rounds of voting from memory. But as you all know, time goes really quickly in this space, and it was only, I think, 2 months ago, but it feels like 2 years ago. So
yeah, totally.
And like, with kind of going back to the contract, I know it's kind of like a community effort, and that's amazing, but like, who actually has control over the contract? Is it only like a select key people of the community, and that's based on a vote? Or is it only like a couple of people? Or is it the person that wrote the contract?
So right now, because we haven't implemented the contract, there's no one in charge as such, but we have a group on Multisig Wallet, which is a group of people that have been nominated to hold a position in a wallet for, I guess, some specific voting things. So there's, I think, about 12 to 14 people who hold, a position on the Multisig Wallet. But we're still working through how decisions will be made, and I think once we get to DAO stage, it'll be a lot easier for this. But right now, it's a lot of we talk through everything on the Discord, sometimes weeks and weeks of discussion, which I think is great because it means everyone's being thorough, everyone gets a chance to have a voice. It's mainly community consensus. So some things will just get voted on the Discord, just with hey, we've got a poll running. Everyone has a chance to vote. Thumbs up, a yes, thumbs down, a no kind of stuff. So, yeah.
I just wanted to jump in real quick
Go ahead, jump in. Yeah.
On the naming. We had 2 rounds of on-chain voting, and the first round there were 2,259 votes.
Oh, wow.
So I'm a bit off on that one.
The second one, I think you're closer, though, ironically. It's loading. The page is loading.
But, and so financially speaking, the fees that are generated from the site, do they go into a community wallet, or are they still going to Rafa?
Still going to Rafa.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Like, I hate to stir the pot, but how do you actually feel about
that? Sure.
Who wants to go first on that one? Carolyn?
More money, more problems. So he still hasn't incorporated himself as a DAO, as far as I know, or any sort of organization, but that's his money that he'll have to deal with. We're just taking the slow route to make sure that our people that are involved are, protected, and that everything is done properly moving forward, so that we can have a secure continuity of operations, is my understanding.
Interesting. Yeah. So you currently, you're all currently basically doing this as a volunteer work at this point, right?
Yeah.
So you're not. The new contract ideally will allow you to have royalties that come to it. Yeah. And so
that's a swapping contract specifically. The minting contract, as I understand it, stays on the Hikiknunk one, which is what is the object token.
Yeah.
Okay.
Minted from. And this is just going to be like a swapping contract. And as an update, the second round of the voting for the name, there were 1,285 votes. So
wow.
I don't know where I got 300 from, but that sounds much better.
That's okay. I just know. I knew I had the link, so I was like, I know I can look this up.
It's a great participation, though. So do you and so is Rafa? And I guess I'm not really trying to stir any pot here, but is Rafa cool with the fact that the contract will be eventually moved out of his name and he'll no longer be receiving the royalties, or are you just sort of doing it because that's the thing that needs to be done?
I think we are a separate entity to what Hikiknut is and what RAF's doing, and that's what we intend to stay separated. So yeah, I guess we are, a fork, and we're just going to do our thing. And we've tried to involve RAF, but yeah, we'll keep doing what the community wants to do. So
Yeah, man, and it's like it sounds really fantastic. Now, kind of going, you mentioned before that you'll have a DAO in the future.
Hold on, you just cut out. You're cutting out for me. Wise, are you? Maybe it's just me, but
Can you hear me
You're
better
rugging
now?
a little bit.
I was gonna say, you guys were talking about like having a DAO in the future. I'm assuming there's gonna be kind of like tokens involved, kind of like HDAO. Only this one will be a little bit more.
yeah, I can kind of speak to that. We are obviously, this is a big part of what we're investigating right now through legal advice and support from others. So yeah, I guess we're just trying to gather as much information about the best way to set up the business side, I suppose, of the community. So the biggest thing I would recommend, if you're really interested in finding out more, is that we document everything very thoroughly. And big shout out to Merchant Coppola, who does a lot of our updates. So we have a blog and a discourse forum, and we have a wiki, and we, I guess, have a lot of this information posted on there and for feedback. So if anyone is interested in helping us or being involved in the discussion, I would direct you to those channels, because you'll find out, I suppose, some of the what's currently happening, which right now is, in the last 2 weeks, we've been talking with legal lawyers and representatives to see the best way to incorporate the organization, I suppose.
yeah, it's really complicated given all the different jurisdictions that you have and just the grayness around DAOs generally. Anyway, so I was going to say we could mix it up. I see that there's a question in the audience from somebody who's already a speaker. Click.tez. Wise, you mind if we just take that question since
Yeah, go ahead.
you're already up on the stage.
Yeah, so like I'm curious if there's like you guys had like your on-chain vote tool and stuff. There, I believe originally this. I don't know if any of you are familiar with like Tezos Homebase, where it would be able to accomplish like the same thing as the vote tool, and also like handle like Homebase is like allows you to kind of spin up your own DAO, and it's being actively developed by a team, and I think Tezos Commons might be helping fund it or something like that. But I've used it pretty extensively, and it's a very powerful and capable tool. I'm curious if there's been any sort of consideration for incorporating that into some of the governance things you guys are trying to do. It's really cool, and I think it's pretty underutilized right now. And the other thing with that is that I believe originally it wasn't called Homebase to start, and I don't remember what it was initially called, but I think the idea with it was that it was supposed to be the DAO for like the original Hikitnunk, and then the HDAO stuff really didn't really ever go anywhere. But you can use like arbitrary tokens and stuff like that. So if like Teia makes their own token eventually or something like that, it's something that you could very easily use with Homebase. Just curious if anyone's even. I don't think it's not really being marketed or anything like that.
It has been raised in the Discord, so I think someone did mention Homebase, and I think Jagrica Xavier has been sort of looking at that. I've just had a quick look now, but I think just someone shared it and they're looking at that too. So that's cool. Thank you for.
Yeah, I mean, if anyone over there wants any help or guidance on it, like I've like I said, I've used it pretty extensively. I've submitted tons of feedback to the developers, and there's a lot goes into it, into like getting it initially set up and things like that. But it really would be, I feel like it would be a little more inclusive in terms of, people being able to. I don't know. I don't know if that's the right way to put it, but
Sounds good. So,
it's a good. It's got a lot of utility, and I think it would be a great use case to kind of showcase that. So if you guys need any help with that, I'm available for whatever.
Yeah,
awesome.
maybe.
Please come
Would
and
you
join
recommend like
Discord.
hopping and yeah, I was gonna say maybe
Recruitment is
hopping in the
happening
Discord.
on the stage.
Come to the Discord.
Yeah,
Join
Twitter.
us.
Maybe you should make an appearance in the Discord. I was gonna say if anybody else has questions too, feel free to raise your hand. I think that we can make this more of a
Open forum.
interactive conversation too.
Yeah.
What do you say, Wise?
I'm all good, man. I'm just glad that I escaped with the whole fire thing happening. So cool. Anyway,
what?
so some idiot set like half of the lab on fire, and everyone was like pretty much like running. Well, not necessarily running, just walking in a fast pace. So that's now kind of under control.
You stay safe. I was going to ask. Do you have plans to basically make artists a part of? Assuming there is a token that comes out, to sort of incentivize artists to mint on the platform by using the token as sort of an incentive.
Kind of like Versum, you mean?
Yeah, I guess it is. Is that what Versum is doing? Is they're using the
No,
token?
I mean, like, Versum is like a whole other different thing. So, like, the way I kind of see it is Teia pretty much has the same, and correct me if I'm wrong, Caroline, and
Carolyn.
Carolyn, sorry. But, like, I feel like Teia is very much has that spirit of, like, Hic et Nunc, only there's a lot more zhuzh to it because yeah, you got like the free minting, you got the whole new contract, which is going to be rolling out relatively soon as well. There's going to be a DAO. I'm not really sure how that's going to function, but I'm sure they're going to have like more information on that too. So it's like Hic et Nunc 2.0. So maybe.
Yeah, I
That's,
mean, it's got the feed like Hick and Nunk. Like if you were to visit the site, it's close to the old school Hick and Nunk as you're going to find on Tezos, correct? I mean, it maintains the feed and it sort of has that same. If there is a punk vibe still on Tezos, it's to be found on Teia, right?
yeah.
Yeah, and the idea was that we were going to just try and continue it on for the community
Yeah.
when Raf shut it down. But he restarted Hic et Nunc, so we're continuing with our, I guess, goals,
Yeah.
and try and be inclusive as possible. And yeah, I guess DAO stuff and tokens still in discussion. And this is where I just really encourage everyone to come in, join us in the Discord. Post your ideas, what you think would work really well that would, I guess for us, we're really interested in stimulating the Tezos community some more. I know everyone's been feeling the burn of, just all crypto being a bit down lately. So, we're really excited about trying to just activate community more.
No, 100%. Like I know this is kind of maybe you don't have an answer to it now, but I'll just ask anyway. Are you thinking like at some point you'll kind of like index other tokens from different platforms? I'm talking that's like far away in the future, or at the moment, it's just one of the things that's sort of like at the back of your mind.
I would think that'd be the kind of decision that would be voted on, as would be the details about the DAO formation, because as I understand it, there are two paths that are nonprofit and for-profit. And so those are kind of big decisions, all of those things, the indexing of various tokens. And I think there may even be a creation of a new token. I'm not sure what the contract, there's some other thing, I forget what it was called. Javier. It's been a while, a couple weeks, but yeah. So if Wise or Jesse, I just tweeted and mentioned you in a tweet that links to the DAO, the discussion write up of the legal roadmap, which includes the DAO discussion and the token discussion. I'm screen recording to get the captions right now. So if you guys could, one of you got, yeah, there you go. Perfect. So that's where people, if you want to know kind of like, yeah, on top. Yeah, that's where you should check it out. But there's kind of, those are two more forks in the road. So a fork in the road, so to speak, again, haha, is that would be a community decision. So there's really no one answer right
And
now.
there's a current poll actually about to be started about, I think, indexing object to Teia. So yeah, check out the Discord because it has all the information too.
And how oh, go ahead, Wise.
I was gonna say, what made you guys change the minting fees to 0?
Well, that's just what we wanted to start with until we have a registered organization, be that not for profit or profit business. So because we can't really collect money without having, the structures of
not without potential legal or tax liabilities. So again, that's
that
just,
money would go to Rafa too. So like if you were to have any fees right now, you don't even see those to begin with, right?
Right.
Was there any communication when did you know that Rafa was going to start Hickenunk back up when he did, or were you kind of caught off guard by that move?
I mean, I didn't hear that it was going to happen ahead of time, but it happened almost right when the name got chosen. So everyone was sort of distracted with that. It wasn't really like, there was no notification about that.
Okay.
We were speaking to him at that time about things, but the site going back live was not something he informed us of.
Another question I have is how does development work? I guess you have volunteer developers that if something is voted on as like a new feature or something like that, you have people in the community that volunteer their time to help with the development.
Yeah, we've got a great bunch of volunteers developing, and mostly people that contributed to Hickenunk as well. There's Mel, there's Javier, lots of people doing great work.
Quick, did you want to ask another question?
Yeah, so unlike the like the future like Teia token or whatever name gets landed on, I mean, and this might be like I don't know where that is at exactly, but have you guys what would you guys prefer to see in terms of like distribution? Like the original HDAO, if you weren't on Hickenunk within the first 30 days, you weren't part of the initial distribution. Are you going to be like looking back upon like wallet activity on Hickenunk, or is it going to be only for when the fork happened and it turned into Teia? Has there been any sort of discussion on that, or what's the kind of thought? What are the thoughts on that?
Interesting question.
It comes back to the designation of what type of organization it's formed, whether it's for profit or non for profit. Because if there's a nonprofit which may be required for certain DAO formations in certain places, then the token may only be able to be affixed to like governance and not of the financial instrument. So those are big decisions that go into the roadmap, and so it's really critical that if anyone wants to, feels strongly about that or has their thought, there's nothing fixed. We really want to let the people make their discuss it and have it out in this forum. So there's no answer. It's open, but there are two paths.
I mean,
and they're quite different.
I don't know how you separate the governance from the financial aspect of it. Like there's
Well, there's a lot of details in this in the tweet, the discourse community document.
Yeah,
That you
I'll
that,
definitely
Do you
that's
think
take a
that,
look
could
at
I,
that
it.
could I
because
jump
it's like
in?
we
Maybe
can't.
just I
Yeah,
could
There's a
kind of
lot
feel
of
the
legal
tension in the
discussion
room.
and stuff, so
Um,
it's really hard to
Okay,
sum.
yeah.
hey,
let
yeah,
Caroline
I mean,
finish. Yeah, just
go ahead.
feedback.
Yeah,
Yeah.
or go ahead.
No, I'm just saying if there's a lot of technical legal advice that's trying to be condensed in more or less
Right.
this, reducing it simply. But if you refer to this document, you'll find all the write up of those recaps, discussion with the lawyers and who they are and everything. So I encourage you to look that up and come to the Discord.
Definitely come to
Yeah,
the
so
Discord.
I mean, no, long time listener, but I mean, I definitely read the document just posted, and I mean, just give some background. I mean, I was a pretty big cassette nut collector back in the day, and maybe April 2021 had a good amount of H style. I mean, not even talking about H style. I mean, really, I still think the best art is on Tezos, and I mean, I know I have this goofy profile picture up right now, but I mean, it's actually interesting timing because we actually, I mean, I won't talk about the project. What I was reading with your DAO proposal, I mean, just stood out to me because we recently launched like a DAO after a wrap on this PFP project that you're seeing. But I mean, I'm just curious in terms of like the legal and tax route, given that you have a 12-person multi-sig, like why is the document mostly focusing on US like tax and legal language? I guess I'm a little thrown off by that just because it's like a multi-sig, so it'd be multiple jurisdictions. You wouldn't really have to worry about that.
This is just a summary of conversations that have been had. So it's just a work in progress, I guess.
Yeah.
Those were so.
Yeah, I just had like a quick bruise. So like she mentioned it before that nothing is confirmed yet. But I think it kind of depends because community vote is pretty much it's
I would
substantial.
I would suggest that those are the people who showed up, and got involved first. It would be logical that whoever they started talking with just has this area of expertise and interest.
Has, has
I,
it,
I I could share some interest here just because we recently wrapped this project on Sunday. It was deployed, and I mean, we actually have a Gnosis Safe multi-sig that we're trying to get 4 additional community members to sign on. So I mean, I would just share in terms of a multi-signatory wallet with 12 people. It's a little tricky to kind of get votes to happen because I'm not sure if you have it set up like a majority over 6 or kind of what the actual signatories have to happen. But yeah, I mean, my advice would just be it sounds like there's an attorney focusing on legal and taxes, and like I get people are trying to figure that out in the DAO space. But even in my day job, looking at more kind of actual like regulatory frameworks and financial world, not just like NFTs on the side, it's like the DAO situation in terms of U.S. legal jurisdiction. I think they're really more focused on stable coins and things of that nature. I don't think any of them are like it's just interesting to go the U.S. legal tax route. I'm not really sure how that would help art on Tezos, in my opinion. But I mean, I'll be following along because I mean, I'm still pretty big into Tezos art for sure.
Yeah.
um,
Once again, this is just kind of like the conversations. Like nothing has been like acted yet. So it's pretty much like a summary of everything that the conversations I've had, whether it's like lawyers or like community members. So it kind of contained in that specific document. So it's still kind of like, I mean, it's a huge initiative. It's an absolutely fucking huge initiative. And they're kind of just doing it and they have to listen to people. They have to make sure everyone's vote is counted. And it's just starting. So I think kind of like just following along and trying to understand everything is probably the best course of action. In terms of like whether it's US based or whatever, that's not something for us to kind of comment on. But if it is, they'll kind of mention it. Who knows?
I was just going to say, it took us 3-4 months to do the naming, so
Yeah.
things move slowly.
It's huge. It's absolutely huge, and like the work that they're doing is just absolutely fantastic. Kind of going back to I know you don't really see leaders or like the 12 signatures. How is that kind of like? Is it Are these specific people kind of elected? Is there like a voting in place, or is it just the first people that kind of that really sort of like started the initiative?
A mixture of both. We've tried to have, I guess, representation from different communities from around the world. So, we have specific region-based communities, and there's representatives from them. So, for example, I, am a representative for Oceania, which is, Australia, New Zealand, and Pacific Islands. And we have reps from, I guess, disability groups. And I did want to ask if we could get Sin Kitty up to speak at some stage, because they've been doing amazing work on accessibility documents, just not even for us and Teia, but for the NFT space. So really awesome work being done there. But yeah, and so people sort of nominated from those groups whether they wanted to be on the multi-sig, because it is responsibility.
Yeah, and you're at the very tip of this entirely new system and paradigm in many ways, right? So like everybody is just trying to figure it out, and there's no precedent really to say like, this is what has worked and this is what hasn't worked, because it's all so brand new. So, I tip my hat to you because it's uncharted waters, and you're not getting, it's volunteer, so which makes it, just that much more impressive that you're dedicating your time and your energy to making this work, because obviously you feel very passionately about the cause, right? So
I mean, yeah, definitely. Like I said, I mean, I feel like I was distracted the day Hen went down, and so when I heard, I was like, "Oh, this is gonna be awesome!" It's like it's gonna be a class in session, and
yeah, I
so far,
remember when
the legend is being written, and
yeah.
everyone has their add to it
Can you
open.
give us like ideas on like the volume that you see on Teia, like transactions per day, or just any sort of metrics? I'm always curious, like the number of users or any of that stuff is really fascinating to me, like how big this universe is.
I have only seen data through like HickDex, but I really want to see that data too. So I don't know if anyone else has an answer in the audience, like for a
Yeah,
great
we'd love to
data
hear.
tool.
You can use like DApp Radar, and it looks at the smart contracts, and you can see how many unique wallets have been on there for the last day, week, month. It'll tell you the volume as well. Like,
Do you know if it's growing right now, or if it's maintaining, or
Someone posted a really good Tezos, a different marketplace, like data users this morning or yesterday. I'm just
what did
trying to
it
find it.
show?
I think what I noticed across the Tezos art platforms since maybe end of last year, after like Hit Nunk went down for a bit, definitely 3 or 4 different platforms popped up where, I mean, definitely object.com. I mean, I like Hennext, like Teia, Versum, but I mean, just 4 or 5 popped up where I'm still in communication with artists that are minting on Tezos, because I, again, still think the best art by far is on Tezos. But
Mm-hmm.
I think the volume's slacking a little just because of the split, unfortunately. And like I know his Nunk came back, and that kind of even adds another layer to it. But I think that's what we're kind of working our way through right now in terms of volume and pricing. There's been like 4 or 5 kind of growing communities, which is great to see, but very different than the Wild West and like spring summer of last year on Hen.
Yeah, and then
there,
you've got
I
this
mean,
I've
entirely
got
other
numbers
separate
right here if you
universe.
guys want to hear.
okay,
Yeah,
what's number?
let's hear it.
In the last week, I mean, the other thing too, real quick, is that like you mentioned, like Hennext, for example, like that still is using the same smart contract, so it's not. It's as far as like you'd have to get like web statistics from the admins of
Yeah, I
those
mean, I like on
websites,
chain.
but like
What's the on chain stats? Yeah, I'm open to hearing some hard data.
So the last 24 hours, the Hicket Nut contract has had 2,350 unique users. There's 11,000 transactions with about $32,000 volume.
30,000 Tez or dollars?
I believe that's it. It's 10,600 Tez volume. Okay. And compare that, and then Object has had in the last 24 hours 2,500 users with a lower number of transactions. So they've had about 9,500, but the volume is 101,000 Tez.
Well, I think what you have there is you got this entire PFP world with like
yes,
Dogami and like 100%. There's an entire universe that we don't even see, right? So like somehow you've got to take out the art and remove that from the PFPs and the big projects like that. And I'd love to get Michelle and Carolyn's take on how you think about like some of these big projects, like the PFP projects, because I think one of the things with Ken was there was no, like, you remember like NFT people launch, and it was like one person at a time for like 1,000 of these things, and it like, I loved the project, but it just totally clogged up the feed forever, right? And so it's not the ideal place to launch something like that. But is it something that you think would be just needs to be somewhere else, and you don't want to mess with it, or do you think that there's a place for that on Teia?
I'll just speak first in my thoughts around it all. I suppose Dogami has been a real big point of discussion recently. I think most platforms can kind of fix things by, I say this, but it would take a little bit of work. But trying to separate from I guess art projects versus PFP projects or collectibles projects. I know that's what I'd like to see more on platforms. So because I'm not so into the collectibles, the PFPs, but I just want to go to a site and be able to look at artists' work.
Yeah.
But also, I see value in a lot of the projects. I think, oh my God, I drew it. George's PFP project, Sutu.
Yeah.
The Vessel, like they're all amazing art-based, I guess, collectibles. But yeah, it's just hard to delineate between what I suppose is art-focused and what's just kind of collectible-focused.
Right, and a lot of these, there's a real gray area between like, like the like talks and stuff like that, where a lot of them are even done by sort of OG hand artists, right? So it's like, where do you draw the line?
Well, I do know that the Teia is working on upgrading the UI UX on the front end, and that there's going to be more filtering. So I think that curation and how we now are having big data problems. Those art is a subjective thing. Everyone has their own interpretations, but I think that just having, keeping it kind of transparent and having the features of the filtering, I think that I know that have been discussed and are being worked on. I don't know what's been finalized yet, but I know we're getting close to having that rollout. So I'm going to hint with some maybe stackable filters on and off settings and masonry grid, and maybe even a couple different view styles with varying degrees of minimalism versus marketplace function. So you could probably get some alpha through the Discord if you want to go scroll through the UX UI. But I think the filtering is going to be a huge part in the future of making sense of the Tezos ecosystem, period, because you can filter by tokens if you wanted to. I mean, it's just a very simple thing. And it kind of puts us all at ease, not having that tension between, these different styles of art works and whatnot. So I think that you can look forward to that on Teia, at least, as far as how every other marketplace handles it,
Okay. I mean, I feel like I should probably just jump in a little bit. So I'm not sure if both of you guys know, but I actually work for Object. So we're also having the filtering thing, which is coming up pretty soon. But that's because everyone was saying that they wanted a feature, but yet nobody has actually raised the initiative, like done the roadmap. So I just did it, and then everyone voted. But that's here nor there. It will be happening at some point. But I'm really loving the fact that you guys are also kind of taking that into consideration. That's amazing. I got a question about the curation because I can see that you have like another like a Twitter account for curation, and it's community curation. Like, how is that? Is that also like a vote as well on the artwork selected, or like how do you typically kind of like pick the pieces, or is it like a theme?
Oh,
Hello?
okay. As far as flip a coin. I don't care.
It just rung for a second. I'm like, what's going on? Sorry.
I think Carolyn can probably chime in if I miss anything. But basically, we have a rotating roster of people that run the Teia Twitter. So yeah, if you want to join in and would like to be a curator for a couple of days,
I think actually the list might have gotten shut down because there were so many applicants at once that the scheduling, it just takes a long time. So I think there's a lot of people, there was an urge, natural urge, obviously, that we all want to like, share things that we love. So that's how it evolved, and then it's very popular. So I think the wait list, but everything's in flux. So I think I'm thinking about how to like improve that so we can get more people participating rather than just having a very long wait list. But anyways, I think it may be closed technically right now.
Nice.
But it is.
So like,
but we're still taking interest because we have people dropping out often because it is a
right.
lot
Okay,
of
I
work
just remember the
it,
Google
so.
Doc got shut down for a minute. So I haven't checked it recently, but it was for a second. So just in case anyone finds the Google Doc and it says, "Oh, sorry."
Do you
just jump onto the Discord and ask about where your interests lie, because that's our main thing. I think we just want people to come and get involved, and
I see we have a question from John Benton. John, you're on the stage. Feel free to ask your question.
Put him on the spot. That's okay.
Hey, you guys. No, thank you. I'm really happy that you guys, both the Teia community and the object community, have really risen to the occasion. I think that it's beautiful. I'm a New York City-based artist and writer who is specifically working with spatial and responsive work, and Teia is the only place that or I'm sorry, Tezos is the only kind of marketplace that is forward-looking enough to kind of allow you to mint WebGL or JavaScript-enabled Web3 stuff. And I know that more will come, but I just wanted to chime in because somebody had mentioned that some of the greatest work is on Teia. I'm sorry, is on Tezos right now. Some of the greatest artwork is on Tezos. And it's, I think that it's when we look back on this time, I think that the Tezos community will really shine because of the way that we're thinking artistically, programmatically, and also in terms of like the whole kind of contracts and Web3 part of it. And I want to really thank you. And I'm really glad that, that the Tezos community is coming together and that these rooms are available. I really, really appreciate it. Thank you.
John's an awesome VR artist. I know John through VR work, and I agree, John. That's one of the reasons that I became enamored with Tezos too. The ability to put 3D objects and do crazy things like what Beats is doing with Here and Now stuff.
Yes. Thank
Exactly.
you, John. That was very
Yes.
kind words too. Now, do we have any other questions from the audience? Happy to bring anybody else on stage that has anything to say or ask of these two.
I can step down after this comment, but just to follow up on John, because the Tezos art is something I really believe in, and apologies, I don't think I knew the format of the forum. I thought it was a little more just talking. So I can step down after this, but I have really thought about it a lot. Like I think I have about maybe 900 or so NFTs on Tezos across a handful of different platforms since last year, and right away it stood out to me talking to the artist. Just the word I would always go back to is like I mean, it's like the throughput that's allowed on the tech allows for experimentation. And when there's no experimentation, again, I know it's a little ironic because I'm repping this wacky PFP, but there's no experimentation when there's gas fees on some of the more expensive chains. So I mean, right away, I was seeing art being made much more complex, and then the level of throughput that could be made on the tech is a lot more. So I mean, I'm in it for the long run. As much as I go back and forth on ETH, I'm still trying to stay on top of the space. It's just been a little trickier with the kind of split, in my opinion. But I'll step down after this.
Yeah, we're gonna wrap it up pretty soon. Normally we run these spaces for an hour and try to be respectful of everybody's time. We got off to a little bit of a late start. I did want to ask how you both think about curation and the role of curation in the space. I think you've got, on one end you've got like sites like Super Rare and just really heavily curated, and then you've got on the other end literally like, Teia, where it's just a feed of work and everybody is sort of completely on the same level. And I'm just sort of wondering how you think about that, and is there a place for curation or more curation in on Teia?
Why don't we hear from Click first before because that seems like he might have an unrelated question, I
Yeah,
think.
go ahead.
Yeah, so like I skimmed through the legal doc that you had shared about the token choices and options and all that, and I think I was just a little misunderstood with my initial question, with the asking about the distribution and stuff. My what I was asking was not necessarily like the details on how like the DAO would be run and the token would be necessarily utilized, but more in the just the like the mechanics behind how you envision like actually distributing the token itself, like not what we're going to do with it, but like or the legal and tax implications, just like the straight up distribution. Like, are you so I'm thinking, are you guys going to look at from when like the fork happened, and then you're going to look at like that activity and decide, okay, this is how we're going to like do this is how we're going to this is what we're pulling the data from, or are you going to look back at like since the like beginning of like the genesis of Hic et Nunc itself, like, or
It's still up for discussion, really. It's just, it's being discussed. So, if you have thoughts on that, please just join us either on the discourse or in the Discord and share your thoughts because, yeah, we're trying to decide on those things. But it takes a little while because we want to get everyone's thoughts. So please come and join.
sounds good, thank you.
Yeah, I don't have a strong opinion about that either. I really like the open discussion process, and I'm along for the ride.
Bottom line is, come join the Discord. That's the common theme here.
I know I sound like a broken record, but I think it's just because we Carolyn and we've got different thoughts and opinions on stuff, and that's the beauty of what our community is trying to build, I suppose. How we come to consensus when we all have a different thoughts and opinions. And I suppose for me on the curation topic, just getting back to that, I'm a little, I guess I'm kind of for everyone. I want everyone to have a chance. So for curation for me, I suppose I feel like there should be real thought to it about uplifting marginalized voices and giving those opportunity that don't have it. So that's kind of just my stance.
I think that was one of the most special things about Hin is that I've spoken to so many artists from around the world who were priced out and gatekeepered out of minting their art on ETH, and they physically couldn't do it because they couldn't afford to do it, and this gave them a way of doing it, right? And a lot of them have now completely quit their day jobs and are supporting themselves and their families entirely on Tezos NFTs. So yeah, it's been an incredible opportunity for a lot of people.
Definitely. And I mean, to echo that, I think that the pure curation is that sort of hack that can break through that massive amount of data that's out there, by leveraging our human networks and interests, and seeing where we can be helpful. And ultimately, like, I think even like Teia and the Hen really they have it going even further, because right now, like, if you look at, for example, just like Hen Radio, which we kind of doesn't really get talked about a whole lot, because it's sort of like lost between the two, but they do sort of have like a curation kind of feature going, where you have playlists that you can create. At least, I feel like something like that, where you have pure curation, um, that that's really, I think, unlocking that is really where our future is lies. We've got the infrastructure kind of set up, but just making sense of it and connecting everything together, that I think that's what maybe this year is going to be about, is curation. And so I'm really excited for the tags to be coming out, because it's going to just unlock all of the treasures that we know are out there, by people who are passionate about art, and the people who make the art, and the different types of art and music, and really just bringing it all together. So that's where I'm bullish on in 2022, is human, like, curation.
I love that, because it also does not. It still is a level playing field. So just having those tags and everything does not make it like a leaderboard, or, yeah, it still makes it a level playing field for everybody that's on the site. So,
And
yep.
we definitely still have the random, and I think that's something that kind of characterizes that spirit of Hic et Nunc, because we can put our finger on the scale, or we can uplift people, but the having just that ability to tap into the power of randomness, is kind of a magical space that feels like it hasn't really existed since maybe like the early internet days, but it's kind of alive and well again.
Do you
So long live the random.
do you think like having a search function would just kind of like dampen the spirit, or?
I think people already have made tools, right? And so I don't think necessarily even 100% of the curation has to happen on any one platform, but I just think I feel like that's where innovation is going to start happening, is sort of on these, how can we make curation, how can we begin to connect our money to the curation too, and more than just collecting, right? So thinking about things, that's really where I'm thinking about. It's like, because ultimately it's a little bit of an echo of Web 2, like referral marketing, but I don't see why like, it already kind of happens with the collecting activity. That's a form of curation, and then you get to gain from that, right, if you actively promote the people that you collect. So I feel like making something maybe like contractual, I'd like to see that in 2022 and 23 and moving forward, just so we can really, again, just build out this ecosystem so much faster by just multiplying what we can do together.
I just want to do a quick shout out to Violet's friends feed, because I think that was one of the best things that's happened for the Tezos community recently. That's an amazing addition.
There's so much happening on Teia.
Okay, I am like joining a Discord right now.
Yay!
While we're having this conversation, because
It worked. my badgering has worked.
Because I'm really, really interested to see what's actually going on. And hang on,
so many things, we can barely remember to list them all. Just be, what's great about Teia?
I mean, like,
someone put a link in the nest real quick.
I'm actually trying to find that, and I can't.
I have to head off. Sorry, I have a meeting at 10:30, so I just
No.
want to say,
No, we're good.
we are good.
We were going to wrap it soon anyway, because we normally try to keep this to an hour and respect everybody's time. So we know we started a little late. Do you have any final comments that you'd like to add, or aside from see you in the Discord or come to the Discord, any parting words?
No, I think I just wanted to mention again that we're really trying to build inclusivity and access for all with Teia, and I think that's our main priority in our standalone. Why I guess we're a bit different from the others, and yeah, if anyone wants to talk more about accessibility for please speak to Sin Kitty as well. They're on the call. I haven't had a chance to speak, but I just really want to shout out for all the work they've been doing about, giving access to people that, can't access as much as some of us can. So thank you for having us and me.
Yeah, thank you for being here. Carolyn, do you have any parting words you'd like to add?
I would say that we do. I know 100% still accept logos. So if you have a Teia logo or your graphic designer or whatever, that's open. Hop into Discord, into the logo design. You can still get, because we have a rotating logo for Teia, so that it really is reflective of that, broad, open, diverse community culture. So that definitely is 100% open. So I would say join us.
Oh my God! Now you've just opened up like a whole can of worms, and now I've got so many questions, and the hour is done. God darn it! But for any of the folks that are here that are interested in joining the Discord, I've pinned the link on top. So highly recommend that you joining. I just did while I'm trying to actually fill out the caption, so I might see some of you lovely, amazing folks here. But the 1 hour is up. And if you are interested in designing the logo, highly recommend, of course, joining Discord, as Caroline kind of mentioned. And I keep butchering your name. I'm really sorry.
Carolyn.
Carolyn. I'm sorry.
Forgiven.
Carolyn. Sorry. Thank you. But yeah, for the folks that are here, thank you so much for making the time. We appreciate every single one of you.
Absolutely.
And for the DMs that I'm getting, yes, I'm alive. I'm okay. It was just a random Science Geek fire, so it's cool. But we'll see you till next time, and we'll be better prepared. So in the meanwhile,
thank you all for joining us. Thank you, Michelle and Carolyn. We really appreciate it. And we will see you all again next Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern. So have a great night, everybody. Yeah.
Bye.
Take care, and talk to y'all soon.
Yep, and of course, follow these legends. Have a good one. Bye.